Axel.
Okay.
Pleasure, mate. Pleasure. Thank you very much.
Nice one,
mate. Yeah.
Hi there. Do you want a coffee or anything?
It's alright, man. I got a hydro
Can we just get a clap in front of this? Yeah, that's it. And
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Overlap Breakdown channel. Today, I'm joined by a very, very special guest in Axel Tuanzebe, as we're here to discuss all things Manchester United, the best coaches he's played under, and the modern life of a Premier League footballer.
Sometimes I'll be laughing at him. He'd think I'm laughing with him. With Paul Pogba.
Yeah.
I spoke to Cristiano when he was at United. I said, you know, what's been a key element for you? He said, look, the training's important, but the recovery is what I focus on.
Best player you've played with? Wow, really?
Put more respect on foreign leagues. We're sort of trapped in a bubble thinking, well, the Premier League is the best league. When you have a true togetherness, you have us being promoted, and knowing we're gonna do it, we were at it every single day. Like I'm talking like 1v1,
Just
constantly.
Yeah.
Like before it's trash talk, like after it's trash talk.
PSG away. That is like something that's a bit of a legend now, isn't it? Thank you very much for joining me today, Axel. I really do appreciate it, and you have got a really, really interesting, career. I want you to go basically straight from the beginning and talk about upbringing, coming over from Congo, settling down in Rochdale, Manchester, and how challenging it was, but obviously how good it was for you, and your parents put a lot of trust in you to do so.
Yeah, story starts from just parents wanting to give their children a better opportunity in life, and for us, we settled in England. Initially, we sort of went to France. But my mom, she wasn't too keen on the life over there, and we ventured on up north to England, and growing up Manchester lad, Rochdale more specifically, and that sort of transition was helped a lot by the community. The school that I went to, St. John's, was a very you could say communal school. They're very much accommodating to people from all walks of life. So we made home of it, and till this day we still speak about our time there, and whenever I have time I try to go up and visit trophies and from there it sort of ventures into sports. And I had a friend of mine who sort of got scouted and went to a local club, and he literally came back the next day and came to our house and said, listen, like, we've got to go and try it out, sort of thing. Listen, nothing to lose, just like, listen, we play football, we have a kick about every day, why not just go and try this out? And so next day it's like, Mom, listen, we need to go, make our way down, and we get playing, and all of a sudden the coaches there love us, and everyone's sort of placed into their teams based on age groups. And sort of from there, it leads onto the pathway into Man United. I'm
guessing your dream was to be a footballer, but I've read that you had 4 distinction stars, 2 A's, 4 B's and a C. Yeah. What did you excel in education?
I'd say more so from the pressure of my dad, to be honest.
Oh, yes.
So the way my family set up, I got older sister, older brother, then it's me, and then I got 2 younger sisters. So the eldest, she done exceptionally well as well in school, so it's sort of, all right, that's the benchmark. And my dad, coming from a medical background, he was very, you could say, militant on education and the importance of it and what it can do for you in life. Him having a difficult upbringing, he understands certain values and certain things that needs to be put in place to ensure that you have a good foundation. You can survive without him. So school was definitely don't muck about. No letters coming home. Parents, teacher conferences. You better not be in trouble, sort of thing. So it's very much in school. I didn't really mess about. You'd never catch me in a detention, really.
Good lad.
I ended up being a school prefect. I don't know I ended up being a school prefect. So the secondary school later on that I went to was have a partnership with Man United. So all the scholars go there, and I ended up being sort of the first United player to be a prefect at the school. So just cracked on with that really, and ended up. We have a lot of sort of you could say we miss a lot of lessons.
Yeah,
it's all integrated with the football. So
you're the cool kid who got dragged out because you play for Man United.
Yeah, so like
I've seen that before.
You miss so many periods in the week, so you got a lot of catching up to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, for me it was always an important aspect because for the football it's not guaranteed, and the stats that go with it, the amount of children that don't make it. Is actually quite alarming. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Before we move on into your like academy career and obviously becoming a Premier League footballer, I just want to obviously ask you about playing and representing Congo, and potentially going to the AFCON next year. And what would that mean to you? Just before we talk about club football, because I know you're very, very proud of being from Congo.
Yeah, I think it would mean a lot really, because obviously representing who I am and where I come from. Also for my family, for them to see sort of our name and being portrayed out across the country, and just something that could be remembered in history. I think for the country, football is definitely a highlight and brings a lot of joy to the country. So we want to qualify for the World Cup. Obviously go far. I think finished 4th in the last AFCON. So the finals there, we can get there, and
went out to Ivory Coast.
Exactly. So it's not a million miles away. It's definitely in our objective down the road to sort of win the African Cup of Nations within the next couple tournaments.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, for me personally, it would be
great achievement.
Great achievement. Yeah.
Thank you for watching the Overlap Breakdown. If you're out and about and prefer to listen, you can do so on all major podcast streaming platforms. Just use the Podfollow link in our description or search for The Overlap Breakdown.
Moving on directly into your academy football, and obviously you did come through at Manchester United, but I'm not going to ask you directly about Carrington. I want to kind of ask you about your education and the underlying coaching that went through your breakthrough. And going into modern football now, how would you say that your coaching as a youngster is different from the way youngsters are coached now? And do you think that positionally and the way tactics are coming further and further down the age groups and they're getting introduced a lot earlier, do you think you can almost take the essence of having the freedom in the coaching into the modern game now? Do you think you're able to solve problems on the pitch far easier than someone who is drilled specifically for one position, one system? Because you played centre-back, right-back, played in a back three, back four. So you've obviously got that essence of versatility in your game.
I think probably the most important part of that would be, as you grow up as a child, you don't know what your final position will be.
Yeah.
So having all them tools to help, I mean, you have a sort of a rough guideline, but you can sort of float about and change positions here, there and everywhere. And sort of when you break into a team, you normally break into a shirt. That's how you describe it, you break into a shirt. And your shirt's yours to keep. So for me, I've bounced around centre-back, right-back, back three, like you're saying. And it's fitting into systems. Different managers have different ideas, so you've got to be versatile enough to adapt to that and play consistently well. I think it floating down into the system, maybe it takes a little bit out of sort of the natural ability of a player, the confined to sort of certain regiments, how a coach would want to play. But I think really and truly from professional football upwards, it's all really tactical. Okay, natural ability, it's not something that's really worked upon anymore. It's sort of your own spare time, you work on it. But really
individual
individual work and stuff like that. But really and truly, the bulk of it is all predominantly tactical. I had a spell out in Italy, and training was
I've got this wrote down because
there's no sort of okay, let's enjoy tiki-taka play. No, this is how I want you to play.
Luciano Spalletti. Crazy.
Yeah.
How early do you remember it coming through and you was going into the game with so much information to take in? What age and when was your first recollection of being told and understanding tactics?
I think it creeps in at sort of youth team in terms of responsibility, not necessarily tactics, but responsibility. And knowing sort of your role in the team. And that's how I was taught coming through, understanding, okay, cool. They have this type of striker. This is how I want you to nullify their threats. So this is how they attack. They're a quick transitional team. So we got to be solid and locked down and don't lose the ball cheaply, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So then as you go through maybe reserves into the first team, then it becomes a bulk of, okay, our system of play is this way. And when you have the ball in this certain position, these are the movements that need to be created for you, and obviously utilize it in the game. And you're given a much more thorough template. Obviously you game manage as the game goes on, but more time than not, the coach wants you to stick to that template and practice what you've been working on the training field.
Yeah, so just moving obviously on into you coming through at United and breaking through, and obviously Louis van Gaal was the first manager who recognised you and promoted you, but it was José Mourinho who gave you your first start. There's a massive personality character around Mourinho, but he put a lot of faith in you, and you know, for a manager who's not known for bringing up youth players and starting them. I remember you starting at the Emirates, and behind the character, how do you look back on your time under him and what kind of person he was for you?
The older I've become, the more I've understood him.
Okay.
So when I'm saying in my younger days when he was the manager, there were certain tests and challenges that he put you up to. And being a youngster, you're not sort of really aware of what he's trying to get out of you. But the older I am now, I'm more aware and understand the sort of the angles the way of teaching that he likes to use, the methods. And yeah, he was still very much demanding. He was still sort of brutal if he didn't have a good game, etc. But ultimately, he wanted to extract the best out of you. And his methods, maybe not everybody will agree with, but sort of if you're strong enough to get through them, you will end up having a very successful career. I think he's not notoriously known for bringing through a lot of academy players, but if you look at the academy players that he has sort of governed over, a lot of them have gone on to have good careers.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he said after your debut, you only need 10 minutes to see how good Axel Tuanzebe's potential is, and that is about as high as you're going to get from Mourinho. I want to move on now, obviously, into segueing between managers, and then you've gone from someone who didn't appreciate the younger aspect of football, giving people starts, to Gunnar Solskjær, who was very much leaning on the academy, and that was when you started to really become a consistent Premier League player for Manchester United. And how was his coaching style different from Mourinho's? And obviously, I understand that he was much more of a father figure, more relatable, younger manager, but in terms of the actual methods and maybe even the tactical information you were given, what was the key differences? Do you remember?
Good question. I'd say with Mourinho, it was very much more hands-on. He would take the sessions, he would delegate roles, etc. But very much he's in the middle of the pitch and he's coaching. With Ole, he's at the side, he's watching. His assistants would take the session and he's analysing every detail of an individual. So let's say, for example, me, he'd just be watching me that session, seeing what I'm doing right, what I'm doing wrong, and speak to me about changing this or that into my game. I'll probably say he's a bit more approachable. You can speak to him more on a ground level. And sort of to understand what he requires of you. Now, the only thing that really hindered that spell was injuries for me. I think it could have been a better run of games, playing consistently, because the opportunities were there to play. But injuries come and the team's established, and it's very difficult to get in, to keep up with the momentum. So that sort of got knocked back by injuries.
Because obviously you captained Manchester United against Rochdale, funnily enough. Obviously that must have been a proud moment for you, obviously being in the academy for so long. And I will touch on this because it would pain me not to touch on this as a Manchester United fan, but this is a bit of the last thing I ask you on the club. PSG away. That is like something that's a bit of a legend now, isn't it? But I want to ask you something specific about it. When you signed for Stoke City on loan, you said that Edinson Cavani told you technically how to defend against Kylian Mbappe and Neymar. I want to pick your brains, and what do you even say? What information are you even taking on before you go into that game that helps you?
I mean, he gave me a sort of heads up in terms of sort of traits that they have in their game. But really and truly, more time you focus on yourself and
Yeah.
you focus on that first touch has to be right, build my way into the game. And you're not too focused about the opposition. I think as soon as you start giving them accolades and traits of, he's this person, he's that person, mentally you defeat yourself in the game. And if you just look at, right, cool, you're a human, I'm a human, let's get at it.
Yeah.
I think that's more time how I approach games. And I find it works for me. Because as soon as you start thinking, right,
he's better than me.
Yeah.
He's done you.
Yeah, he's done you.
Yeah. No, I like that.
You. Don't get me wrong, you respect the player.
For sure.
But yeah, I think you should back yourself 100%.
You're probably one of the better defenders I've seen at 1v1 defending. Wide, in the box. You've marked strikers out of the game, you've marked wingers out of the game. You apply yourself different. You spoke before in the academy about what type of striker you play against, what that demands of you. Would you say you have a set defending style? Do you say that you go, obviously it boils down to tactics, instructions, going man-to-man across the pitch and stuff, but you were always a high-pressing 1v1 kind of lockdown defender. How would you technically analyse lockdown defending? How difficult is it? How do you apply yourself? Is there anything that you work on?
I think that form of defending can be risky, so you got to be athletic.
Yeah.
Got to be quick. More time than not, I invite the race. Yeah.
You back yourself physically, don't you, in 1v1s?
Yeah, I'd say that's sort of the bulk of it. The other elements is obviously having good footwork.
Yeah.
And you sort of, throughout the times you're in a 1v1 situation, I always tend to try and make him make a decision and make a difficult decision.
Make it for him.
Yeah. So, I don't know how to describe it.
It's natural to you.
Yeah, it's just natural to me. Like, I'll try using an example. I think earlier on in the season, we played Brighton away. And I had Matoma. And the man just said, listen, Matoma, take him out of the game and we'll have a chance of getting a result. And it's a case of the first interaction, you sort of, okay, let me see what you can do. And you sort of get a feel of how quick they are, how strong they are, etc. And from there, you just build it up. And then you get you can say a completely different, but quite similar in many ways, but then you have Doku for City. You know, he's very electric. Talking first 5 yards, you make a mistake, he's gone. So how do you deal with that?
Maybe so you're a bit further back.
A bit further back, yeah. And then you sort of giving him that distance to think, okay, try shift it here, but really and truly I've got you, or I'm gonna get tight to you, let me see what you do about it. If you like it and stuff. So you start playing games and little mind games to try to see, all right, cool, this is where.
Do you watch a lot of your winger before the game? Like, because you're not really like, it doesn't frustrate me, but like one-dimensional wingers, players who you don't let cut in on the right-hand side, you don't let them go down the line. I always think when I'm watching defenders, like as spectators, you often think, I know what that player's going to do. And it's frustrating, obviously, for people when you can tell the research has gone into the game. I think I remember like Anthony Elanga scored a goal against Atletico Madrid ages ago, and he was talking about how he watched thousands of keeper saves from Oblak, so he knew where his weaker side was. And I love stuff like that. And you strike me as the type of guy who would do that, who puts the time in and watches.
Funny enough, I don't.
No?
I don't. Like I said, I focus on myself.
Yeah.
So, like, pre-game meeting, we get clips of every sort of potential player that could play in that position. Nottingham Forest away, Hudson-Odoi is another one who likes to come inside. So you already have that in the back of your mind. So you sort of just adjust your positioning a little bit to how you defend against him 1v1. But I think as soon as I've got the grasp, I don't need to watch 1,000 videos. Okay, I know what he's like, and I can compare him to a different type of player that plays in a similar way to him, and then all right, cool, I know what I need to do.
Moving on from obviously Manchester United, you've had a few loan spells. Aston Villa was I have a mate who's an Aston Villa fan, and when I was telling him I was doing an interview, he was like, I was pretty happy. He's like, you obviously won the playoff final with him. You played in a team with Tammy and Jack Grealish, and you played 90 minutes in the final. Ashley Cole played for Derby County. When I was looking at the lineups, I was like, Jesus, throwback.
Crazy, yeah.
But when you look back on Aston Villa, it was probably, am I right in saying, most consistent playing time and being injury free and stuff like that. Do you look back on Aston Villa with, obviously enormous pride because you got promoted, but the managers you worked with, the form you developed there, and obviously getting to the Premier League, do you look back on that as like one of the better moments of your career for sure?
100%. I thoroughly enjoyed my time there. The manager that we had through that spell was Dean Smith. Very sort of easy to communicate. You know, very much as like a father figure. He loved his role. He was a Villa fan growing up himself, so he very much wanted to make the club in his image. And you could feel that energy every day you come into work. It's very positive. There's good vibes all the time, and the training was intense. And I think we all sort of thrived from that because we developed a very competitive culture. I mean, 5v5 games, you don't lose. It was as simple as that.
Like, games type scenario.
Yeah, like me and Yannick, we were at it every single day. Like I'm talking like 1v1.
Just constant.
Just constantly. Like before it's trash talk. Like after it's trash talk, and it was actually helping us. You know, we was developing a very competitive nature, and you know that will then manifest itself in the games. So, you know, long story short, as we were coming into the final, we knew we won before the game started because we just knew that we was in a good place. Mentally, everyone's very positive, and we got the right personnel to win the game.
I was just thinking then, when you were saying that about Dean Smith, I was just thinking then, you were talking about togetherness in the camp and stuff. You've actually played in a lot of teams where the ethos of the team is togetherness, collective, family. And when it stems from the manager, the type of players that are brought in from the academy, you know, think of Solskjær, but obviously Dean Smith as well, very, very good man-to-man, not man-to-man, man manager. How big would you say, like, actual togetherness is in a camp? Would you say it kind of overrides maybe even tactical information? Like, if you're willing to, you know, fight for someone on the pitch or cover a certain space that you wouldn't if you were as close to another player. How big do you think that relationship is within a camp?
I think it's something that's sort of overlooked upon. I think when you have a true togetherness, you have a Leicester winning league. When you have a true togetherness, you have us being promoted and knowing we're gonna do it, no matter who's in our way. And I think there's a lot of sort of football can be very much I just care about myself. It's just about me. If I play, if I don't play, I'm not interested about what other players are doing, or not interested about making friends. I'm just here for the time, and once I'm done, I'm gone. And that could be a little bit toxic. Some cases can be very toxic because, okay, well, this playing, they just bring the energy down on everybody else. And you can feel that straight away, the training, sulky, moody. It's just bringing down the levels, whereas that togetherness, everyone's just buying into what we're doing and understanding that, all right, this is a phase where I ain't playing, but I can support, or this is a phase I am playing and I'm going to drive up the levels. And,
do you notice that really early? When you go into a team, you know if the camp's a good camp.
100%.
Yeah.
You can tell that first couple of days, you can tell, all right, stay away from this person. Just try to drag you down, and all right, cool, this is sort of the main bunch of lads that are together, and you know, so you find your pecking order in the team, and you find where you can affect and imply yourself into the team as well.
Would you say managers like Dean Smith, like Ole Gunnar Solskjær, are underrated because of how not spoken about that kind of aspect of football is? Would you say that's a really underrated part of management?
I think so. I think if you're a manager and you can't build that togetherness within a group, okay, I get it. It's also the personnel's responsibility to do so. But I think when you're bringing in players and letting go of players, you sort of, managers for sure have that in the back of their minds. I mean, I've been asked about players, okay, should we bring this player in? And you'd be like, I don't know about that. Their lifestyle ain't the greatest, or, you know, they could be toxic when they ain't playing. And vice versa, and, you know, you vouch for people that you think, all right, cool, actually within this group, you know, they can help.
So you just mentioned lifestyle there, and I want to talk about probably the biggest lifestyle adjustment for you, I'm guessing, when you went to Napoli on loan. Bit of an interesting one, obviously it didn't go how you probably wanted it to go. But you played under then manager Luciano Spalletti, who is now currently Italy manager, and then the season after obviously won the Serie A title. But that must have been a ridiculous shift from Premier League football, Championship football, to go to Napoli. And I just want to ask you straight away just about comparing it to the Premier League. Style, tactics, lifestyle, technical training, the demands. We often hear these stories about Allegri, you know, players in the hotel no matter what, all the time, 12 hours. Is that a reality?
Yeah, that's reality. Yeah, that's reality. It's crazy. To me, it's crazy.
Mental.
But it's reality, and I think the biggest thing that when players ask me, oh, what was it like getting into it, I think I won't say disrespect, but I think if you put more respect on foreign leagues.
Oh, really?
Okay, we're sort of trapped in a bubble thinking, well, the Premier League is the best league. Yeah, competitively, you could probably say that has the most money, best infrastructures, etc. But in terms of pure talent, in players you never heard about, unbelievable.
Well,
unbelievable.
You played with some of my favourite players that I've enjoyed watching over the past few years, and one of my favourite centre forwards in Europe is Osimhen.
Yeah.
And you play with Victor Osimhen.
Yeah.
We're talking about them level of players, and even like Stanislav Lobotka and players like that.
I love him.
Really?
Yeah, I love him.
That's like my type of midfielder,
Yeah.
like the variety type of midfielder.
Yeah.
And how honestly, like, is it ridiculous? Like,
Yeah, I think it's just overlooked upon.
Yeah.
Overlooked upon and thinking, well, oh, they're not physical. They are physical, just as quick, just as strong. And I think we always say, well, okay, the Premier League is give it all its flowers and stuff, and yeah, it's great. But I just think don't overlook upon all these different leagues, because they're just as competitive, just as good. The games are not just breezes in the park, and you really have to lock in and concentrate to perform.
It's crazy how you said that, because like, I would label you as a physical Premier League footballer, so like no problem adapting across Europe. But you've said that I often hear that Serie A is too slow, it's laid back, it's too tactical. But you're actually saying, no, it's it's still very competitive.
Yeah, it's still competitive. It's not a breeze in the park.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, if that was the case, why didn't English teams always win the Champions League?
Yeah, it's a good point.
You know?
Yeah.
You still get beat by all these different teams, and you look at Atalanta, for example. You do not want to go to Bergamo and play them.
Mate,
it's a
you
long.
get suffocated in that press. Honestly.
It's a long day. Like, and that's what I'm saying. Like, it's always overlooked upon and thinking. I promise you, every team in the Premier League, if they went to Bergamo on the day, they'll struggle.
Mate, I watched Arsenal there, and like we played there, Manchester United. We got out of there with a win somehow.
Yeah.
But like Gasperini, like I've read books on Gasperini. That bloke is ridiculous, and the intensity of teams like that's scary stuff.
Yeah.
Who would you say? Because obviously you've just alluded to how much quality is there. Who would you say was like the one team or one player that you just played with? You looked at and was just like that's the standard.
There's a few actually.
Yeah.
In Napoli itself, there was Zielinski. I thought he's a technician. He was gifted.
Yeah.
Both feet.
Yeah.
Corner left foot, free kick right foot,
Could
penalty
score.
left foot. Yeah.
Could score as well.
Insigne, for someone as small as he was, he could still dribble and get through. He was phenomenal. I thought Lobotka.
Yeah.
To this day, I don't know why nobody's sort of
Mate, in the title-winning team,
Yeah.
he was ridiculous.
Yeah.
I think Zambo Anguissa joined year after year,
Yeah.
and I was watching that midfield. I was like, Jesus Christ, this is scary stuff. Like, he
Yeah.
could literally turn on a dime, couldn't he? He's like incredible, even in Euros.
Yeah, I thought definitely a Premier League team would have bought him in the next year or two, but it's not happened. Maybe he's happy where he's at, and probably I'm pretty sure he's definitely had interest.
Was the tactical information as much as you were expecting?
Probably more.
Probably more.
Probably more.
How shape?
Probably too much.
Too much.
For my liking.
Like you were going into games just thinking about.
Not so much going into games, just in terms of training itself. It was just too much tactical work. You don't have the freedom of expression, or you can't just enjoy the ball. You know, it was a lot of tactical in shape. Okay, this is the pattern of play.
Routines.
Master it. This is another pattern of play. Master it. And if you didn't, actually, you just get rinsed by the manager. So yeah, it's a little bit too tactical for me. I think definitely have more elements of it where you just enjoying playing with the ball, manipulation and all that kind of stuff. Just the chaos of the game.
Yeah.
Instead of being just so drilled. Because when you come into the game, there's evidently going to be chaos in there. So yeah, I'd say that's the only change I'd.
Did you get along with Solskjær's player?
Yeah, for the most part, yeah. Again, my time there was hindered with injuries, so it sort of, you could say, ruined my spell there, really. And I got injured very early on. So yeah, still have his number and stuff.
Moving on probably to Ipswich and your time here, and obviously you were promoted last season. I'm more or less going to ask you about how much faith the manager has in you, because obviously he coached you, like you said, the assistant managers and the other coaches would coach you at Manchester United. Do you look at the way McKenna views you as a footballer, your qualities and stuff, and think that he really understands you as a footballer?
Yeah, I'd say so. I'd say so. Worked with him for a long time.
Yeah.
And he's very much, it's incredible in terms of the amount of detail he spends, him and his team, to be honest. Like, they're at the training ground 7 till 7. Like, it's unbelievable. Dialed in, little details, marginal gains, everything. Throws it all in. And we've bought into that as a group. And training sessions gives us the responsibility to drive it. Yeah, and it's such a very good environment, more so than what I expected. When I first came in there, training session, I was thinking, oh my gosh, this is just
Levels.
as good as anywhere I've been. Yeah, it's just surprising to see that, but knowing how he is, and having the group from League One, he's implemented his ideas, and yeah, it's been flourishing. And in terms of how it's been with me, I've enjoyed every moment of it. It's helped me improve myself as a player, understand roles in football and how to execute them correctly, and just had to be responsible now. 27 years old, so he could be considered as a senior pro now. So he's putting in that faith into me. He'll have little words with me before a game and just say, look, I need you to do this or whatever. And that as a player is just, it's perfect really, because you know, manager's backing me, I need to deliver for him, you know. And that's sort of relationship we have at the moment, and yeah, just fighting and trying to give my best every game.
I don't know if this is true, because obviously I've never met Kieran McKenna, so finally I can actually ask someone this, but he seems technical obsessed, like one-to-one work, like refining everything. And would you say his management style, how would you say it, or coaching style rather, how would you say it stacks up against the rest of the coaches you've worked under? Does he work less on shape and more on getting the best out of you?
A bit of both. I think
both.
Yeah, and it also comes from yourself. If you want to really improve yourself, he'll help you for sure.
Yeah.
I think one thing that fades away in sort of first team football is individual work.
Yeah.
But for him, every day is an opportunity to work on individual stuff. Now granted, coming closer to a game, okay, no, save the legs, but earlier on in the week, 100%, and let's be working at it. Yeah, we do a lot of unit-based work, 1v1s, 2v2s, anything of like sort of main aspects in the game, we'll work on. And he watches everything back.
Yeah.
You watch everything back. You watch the training session, how you trained. Okay, this wasn't good enough. You need to improve it. You need to be given more. You need to be more vocal, etc. So every little aspect in the game, he's definitely trying to improve. And I can respect it because he's putting in the work himself.
So it makes you out of work.
So I can't let him want it more than me. You know, why is he telling me I need to be better? I should be the one saying I should be better. So yeah, just juggle it and keep on improving.
I was going to ask you, is the hardest working gaffer you've worked on?
Yeah,
but I can't ask you. Oh, well,
definitely. Well,
if you can't say no, rather, But he is,
yeah. Attention to detail is nothing I've ever seen before. He will watch everything back. Champions League game on a midweek, you watch that. You'll be watching one of our games back and be watching something else back. Yeah, it's crazy. And then he can tell you, did you see this? And he'd be asking us, did you watch the game? Did you see this? So yeah, he's relentless. Demands a lot from his team as well.
Yeah.
His backroom staff and sort of what they deliver and how they deliver it. So he's very regimented, very organised.
Did you know that way before?
I had an idea of it, but now it's
more.
It's his to drive, and it's just showing what he's really about. And I think a lot of, especially young players, if you really wanted to improve, I think he's a good manager to work under.
Yeah, I think Ipswich and all what they're doing for the past few years has been incredible. Obviously, the achievement to go to League One Championship and go to the Premier League is just impeccable. And I think he's adapted so well through the years, not being stubborn in his principles. And I think that's something that really gives him the edge in certain times. I want to ask you about returning to the Premier League. Obviously, you spent a couple of years out. There seems to have been, as an onlooker, like a shift in the Premier League where the quality, honestly, I think in getting towards the 2010s, it felt like a really good level. And then since like 2022, it just feels like it's reached a different beast. Do you think it's become more physical, more technical? Do you think the level has only gone up, or do you think...
Looking at it from two different angles, looking at it from my time at United and my time at Ipswich, the Premier League's much harder at Ipswich because everyone's looking at you and thinking, okay, cool, there's a potential for 3 points. Whereas United, there's a little bit of fear, big club, got respect them more. But I'd say this phase round, for me, it's the running. The running is what's gone through the roof. There's a lot of running. And so I remember seeing a clip of Michael Owen saying, like, back in the day, there was actual ballers playing. Now you don't really see that.
Yeah, you see athletes.
You're knackered in the game, you know what I mean? Every game, you're pumping out 10, 11, 12K a game at zone 6, a lot of zone 6. You can pump out 10K a game in zone 3, 4.
Yeah.
It's not really going to do anything. You're doing it at zone 5 and 6. It's very demanding. And obviously the amount of games you got to play. So that element of it has become very taxing. So it's taken a little bit from, you could say, quality of play maybe. But I think on the pitch it's very relentless. Unless you're 3-0 up and the game's shut down.
Can't breathe.
Yeah, if it's 0-0, flat out,
Honestly, that's how it feels, like as an onlooker. Because I'm watching games now and I'm just like, the teams like you press, Ipswich Town press ridiculously well. And it's like, you can't breathe for any moment. And I want to move on into the physical demand of the Premier League. And obviously, well, not just the Premier League, but your career and some of the injuries you've had, and kind of tap into your mental strength, because obviously as fans, we can only understand how annoying certain moments must be for you. You're back from injury now, you're healthy, which is great. But I just wanted to ask you, like, the resilience you've built from your career, kind of what you've done, both on and off the pitch, in terms of settling down in England, going through it. You had mental strength from early, and you had a smart head on your shoulders. Do you think that helps you out with managing injuries?
Yeah, I can only speak on how I've dealt with it. And I've had long spells, I've had short ones, I've had ones at completely wrong timing.
Mate, the fun one, mate, that was, when I read about that, I was like, that is crazy.
Yeah.
But it can keep you out for like, just small little things can just...
Crazy. I had one for United. I was starting against Liverpool at home, and I torn a muscle. I think it's called the iliacus. You just don't tear them.
No.
It's so deep into the body, you don't tear them. And I told it the day before, and I couldn't run. So I missed Liverpool at home. So it's just stuff like that. And how do you deal with it? Well, okay, football's a short career. You got to maximise and utilise what you have. Okay, all right. I've torn whatever, I've done this. Okay, now it's straight into rehab mode. Okay, I need to get back as soon as possible. What does that look like? What I'm intaking, how I'm recovering, how I'm sleeping, everything just gets shifted. So I think I just look at it as a phase. It's just a phase of you're gonna miss a little bit of football, but you'll be back. You'll be back. That's the biggest thing to understand. You'll be back, and how you're back depends on your rehab and how you go on to play after that. Depends on sort of your mental strength. Okay, you understand when you come back, you might not be in the team, and you need to build that togetherness.
Yeah.
understanding that this phase of my career or the season, I'm supporting the 11, and once I find my breakthrough, I'm in, and the shirt's mine.
Yeah.
So it's just understanding the reality of football and not being disheartened that, okay, cool, I'm out, I'm back in, maybe just sign someone else in, and this is me over.
Competition.
Yeah. It's going to be competition everywhere you go, as long as you embrace it and take it head on. It's not the end of the world.
Your mentality, by the way, is like everything's competition. It's like a proper sportsman personality. Like,
that's been
you are honestly like so obsessed with winning, aren't you?
Yeah, that's been from young. I'm talking like 5-a-sides. Like there was 2 things: you can never be outpaced, we call it burnt.
Yeah,
and you can never be dashed.
Yeah.
So that was the 2 things.
Yeah.
Is
that from having an older brother as well?
Yeah, like if that happens to me in the game, they're laughing at me. Like, I'm not coming home. They're laughing. Like, you know what I mean?
It's like screenshots holding over to your face.
Yeah. So you just got to learn to deal with it. Like for me, like old stuff around like social media.
Don't get it.
I don't care.
Yeah, you just keep yourself to yourself and just get on with it. I wanted to ask you touched on the physical conditioning, and obviously we've mentioned the intensity of the Premier League. Yeah. I also want to talk to you about like the actual physical demand outside of football to be a footballer, and like what do fans not see? Because it must be incredibly strict what you can do, what you can eat, what you can drink. Like, is it every single moment is pinpointed, scheduled in the calendar? You know what you're doing every moment.
6 days a week really. It's flat out work. Depending on the schedule, you might not get a day off for 3 weeks sometimes. But I think this one's actually a funny question because I talk about it with my friends all the time because we always debate about the greatest of all time. And for me, if you look at sort of Ronaldinho, Neymar, gifted in talent, unbelievable. But if you change their lifestyle, greatest player of all time.
What are you saying? Like application.
You know what I'm saying? I don't drink. I've never been drunk. Don't drink ever.
Yeah.
Don't do any drugs. No recreational drugs. Not interested. Dieting. I'm a chef.
Yeah.
She cooks fantastic food, and it's all sort of based around
your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In terms of lifestyle, like a typical routine. At the training ground from 9:30, probably getting home at 5 o'clock. Now that's a really long day in terms of training. Normally you could be out of there by 1:30, 2 o'clock. But it's always just, I spoke to Cristiano when he was at United, his second spell round, and I said, what's been a key element for you? He said, look, the training's important, but the recovery is what I focus on. Ice baths, infrared saunas, oxygen chamber, just simple stretching, massages and rubs. Yoga. You need to.
Yoga's a massive one. Ryan Giggs was big on that.
Yeah, you need to be getting it in consistently as well. Just how you, when you play, you build a momentum and you start hitting a level of consistency. It's the same thing with recovery. You need to build that level of consistency to just keep on going at it. And I think when you taper off from that, you start finding issues and problems here and there. With
your kind of thought towards physical conditioning, would that make Ronaldo the greatest of all time in your opinion?
Good question. I think the way I look at
Can't
it...
you hear that,
it's funny because I'm actually prepared for this question.
Oh, right. I don't actually have it, by the way. We weren't even on the thing.
We done a system, and I brought it into the club and we debated about it. It was longevity. There's 4 categories. Yeah. Longevity, the pinnacle, the prime pinnacle. There was accolades.
Okay.
And there was mastery of the ball.
Oh, wow.
So there were the 4 categories, and sort of you pick your 6 players that you think can compete for the greatest of all time. So my 6 was Pele, Maradona, Nazario, Ronaldinho, Gaúcho, Cristiano, and Messi. And sort of first gets 6 points, last gets 1 point. And you sort of put them in.
Have you come up with this idea?
I've done it with my friends,
Honestly, people should use this method, you know.
So like longevity, like Cristiano and Messi, the top 2 in that. And then you got mastery of the ball for me, Ronaldinho was number 1, unquestionable. I'd say their prime. I'd say if you had to present a player, the pinnacle version of themselves, I think R9 is, I think,
feels
highest
fake when you
level
watch
of
it, innit?
football I think I've witnessed anyway. And I think, what was the one? Accolades. Again, you've got
Ronaldo and Messi.
Messi.
Yeah.
So the way it ended up being out, Messi was the greatest of all time. He ended up having 18 points. And then it was sort of joint second with R9, Cristiano. Yeah.
That's crazy. That's a good one. You need to send me that because I'll do that. Quickfire questions. What is the best moment of your career so far?
The first playoff with Villa.
Yeah.
Just because I'd say it was sort of, I felt a real part of the team. First sort of experience of being part of a full campaign from start to finish, being impactful, obviously playing in the ultimate game, the consistency, and sort of that whole journey. Obviously, like I mentioned, the competitiveness with Tammy, and that sort of camaraderie we had at the training ground. Just darts, for example, was big competition.
If there's a darts on a pool table at training, oh my God, I've seen some serious stuff go down over that, mate. Honestly, it's bad, isn't it? He's awful.
So yeah, I'd probably say that one.
That's actually pretty interesting, but I like the way you look at it in terms of like the whole package and like the whole collective and the journey there. It's like it's different aspects of looking at it. Best player you've played with?
Played with Bastian Schweinsteiger.
Wow, really?
This is from my personal.
Because I was going through, so it had in my mind all the people you saw like Mata, Rune, but like no, that's mad. Just
Bastian Schweinsteiger.
Is there anything in particular?
He was, I think, like 34, 35 at the time. Yeah. I could not get anywhere near him.
Seriously?
And I'm 19 at this point, so I've got
you
legs.
make an impression.
I've got legs for days. I couldn't. He was 3, 4, 5 steps ahead of me. He knew how to control the ball and make me off balance. So I'm running full pelt, boom, let's take care of this. And in the box, he was incredible in the box. Like I've never seen a player. He had an ability to slow down time. The ball, it's like a ping pong in there, especially at that level. Like I think he had a box one time at Rooney, Ibra, Ashley Young, Michael Carrick, Schweinsteiger. You know, so you can see the caliber of players. And me being a youngster in there, it's a ping pong.
Yeah, you just can't get anywhere. Yeah.
And he'd go in maybe once every 4 or 5 sessions.
Oh, God.
You know what I mean? Like 4 or 5 days, you might see him in the middle twice. No. You know what I mean? It's unbelievable. I couldn't get anywhere near him.
I was actually going to put best Rondo player down. I'm guessing it's Bastian.
Yeah. One might is close.
One might is close.
One might is close.
Best first touch?
Yeah, he's up there.
Best player you've played against?
Neymar. Yeah, Neymar.
Even though just ridiculous.
You see when people say, Messi and Ronaldo, very close. And then there's then some people say Messi's in a different league. Sort of how I look at it in terms of Neymar and Mbappe. Yes, the two very top players, but ultimately when it comes down to mash with the ball and their technical ability, Neymar's daylight ahead. Yeah, he's frightening.
I'm a massive Neymar fan.
Yeah.
Honestly, like some of the stuff he used to do on the ball.
Yeah, for me, he should have cleaned out the Ballon d'Or. From 2017 onwards, really. He should have.
Is that like one of the things you look back on, like you got to play against him and you played well against him as well? Like he will remember you. He will remember that night.
He's frightening to play against. He's just that good. He's just that good. You just got to respect him really and get 2 free players around him.
Biggest sporting role model?
I've got quite a few actually. I used to have sort of like a picture and all faded into.
You got like the Mount Rushmore thing.
Yeah, sort of. But I had so many. I had. So I always think like the greatest individual in each sport. So I had like Michael Jordan in basketball. I had Usain Bolt. I had Lewis Hamilton. I had Mike Tyson.
You met Bolt?
I met Bolt, yeah.
Was that mad?
Yeah, it was a little bit surreal for me. We just started talking about core strength and how much is so integral.
You know, the type of conversation.
Yeah, that's the type of conversation we had. But it's good to meet him. Big guy.
Yeah.
Big guy. Yeah.
One current or past player you'd love to play with?
Ronaldinho.
Yeah, I knew that was coming. Yeah.
If not Ronaldinho, R9.
R9.
Yeah.
And if it was current, it'd be Neymar.
If it's current, probably, between Neymar and Messi.
Yeah. The funniest teammate you've ever had? Because I know you've played with some real funny people.
I probably got to say, but this person, sometimes I'll be laughing at him. He'd think I'm laughing with him. With Paul Pogba.
Yeah.
When he handballed against West Ham, and Mikel Antonio's doing this, and he's just looking at it.
Honestly, that is like one of the best Man United meme, man.
We laughed for weeks. Like, training was just funny every day. Like, we'll just look at each other, we'll just start laughing. But yeah, I'd love to reunite with him.
Yeah.
He was a character.
Do you think he's misunderstood? I love him, man. Like, I thought, in terms to watch, I love the way he played. I love them leggy players.
Yeah.
And I thought he was mistreated anyway.
Yeah, I think with football, obviously, everyone looks at it in terms of you're earning so much, you've got to perform all the time, etc. Yeah, and I think some things you just got to be clever about, and maybe don't post a dancing video when we've lost, and maybe don't do. I think that kind of stuff could be easily avoided, and I think probably would have cut half of the headaches he would have received.
Do you remember there's a video of, I can't remember the dance, but there's a video where he's doing it and you run in and you start throwing sliders. Yeah. That's like in the back of my mind. It's like in the corridor at training. But that was like one of my funniest United memories. Like, me and my mates used to talk about it all the time. But that core of José, you, Paul, Rashford, and even Fosu Mensah. That was funny, man. Yeah,
we had good times. Like, training again, competitive, very competitive. We got to a point where sort of 5v5 games at the end of the session, competitive.
Yeah.
Like,
it builds up.
Yeah, it can become aggressive coming towards the end of the session. I remember Paul's team lost, so they're going in now, and then it's the final, and hurling trash talk at him, and he's actually getting angry.
I couldn't imagine him proper angry, you know.
Oh, he's getting angry. He's like, anyone that says anything, I'm going to slap you. It was hilarious. But yeah, it's sort of, we've had some good funny moments.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. That's a brilliant way to wrap it up, man, on a really good note.
So, thank you very much, Axel.